So hear me out. You couldn't watch No Way Home on its opening weekend because of, well, multiple reasons actually. Events, school, a thunderstorm was happening on that day. Just many disasters came together on that day to ruin my chances of watching Spider-Man in the theaters. So now I have to survive 5 days until the next weekend just so I can finally experience the movie. And yeah, I loved it. I know, what a shocker. I loved the movie like everyone else did. But honestly, I loved almost everything about this movie. For someone who disliked Tom Holland's previous outings as Spider-Man, this movie really knocked it out of the park for me. I loved the style, I loved the editing, it worked well with the music, the colors popped, the acting was top-notch, everyone was in their A-game, and let's not forget finally seeing Tobey Maguire on the big screen. It honestly felt like a childhood dream coming true when I finally saw Tobey Maguire on the big screen. It really was something special to me. But I don't want to sit here, or rather stand here all day talking about what I liked about this movie, which just so happens to be what everyone else liked about this movie.
They love me.
I'm here to talk about the issues I had with this movie. So at the end of No Way Home, Peter finally does the noble, selfless thing and tells Doctor Strange to make everybody forget about his secret identity as Spider-Man. This means no MJ, no Avengers, no Happy, nothing. And MCU Spider-Man finally becoming Spider-Man. And we all look into the future with hope and excitement. So what's your issue with the movie? Well, my issues with this movie come with... why is Ned not his friend anymore? And why did everybody forget about his existence when he only asked for his secret identity to be forgotten? And if his existence has been completely erased and everybody who knew his identity completely forgot about him, what was Tony's motivation in Endgame to create time travel? And does this mean that the Time Stone is ultimately useless and Doctor Strange can just erase time and create new timelines with a simple spell? Now those are some small random issues I had with the movie. It's a time travel movie. Now before we talk about my big issue, we're gonna have to go back in time a little, specifically to June 2017, the release of a small movie called Spider-Man: Homecoming. Now I saw it in theaters and so did everyone else, and we all collectively agreed on two specific things. One being that Michael Keaton absolutely killed it as the Vulture in this movie, and the other one being is that this movie is not an origin movie, and that's a good thing, because we've already seen the origin movie happen twice, and it already fell flat on the second time, so the wise decision would be to not do an origin movie for this Spider-Man. Right? Right? So as we all thought, until this movie revealed to us that in fact Spider-Man No Way Home is the origin story. Not the entire trilogy like some people have said, just this movie. Because the other two movies do little to nothing to develop Peter's character and make him ready for the events of this movie. And only get undermined by this movie, erasing any impact the movies had. No Way Home, rather than doing what a third movie does at the end of a trilogy, ending a 3-movie-long story or character arc, this movie, in fact, erases the events and characters of the previous two movies. No Way Home ends with this new beginning vibe, which I'm not saying it should do. Many trilogies have done that before, but this movie, rather than ending a trilogy-long story, it forgets it. It forgets the entire existence of the trilogy and starts a completely new one. Peter, for example, acts completely differently than where we left him off in Far From Home, and so does Aunt May becoming this caring parent figure which she just never was in the other movies. And that sudden change of character really took me out of it and killed any emotional impact I had to her death. MJ acts very differently than the other movies, which, to be honest, I'm not gonna complain about that one because MJ was really my least favorite part of the other movies, and I'm so glad they made her a better character in this. To me, it feels like Marvel realized they made a mistake between Homecoming and Far From Home, making Peter a whiny, unlikable child, and they decided they're going to time travel his... Whose phone is that? What the fuck? Whose phone was that? There's no phone in this room other than mine. And mine is on mute. That's odd. Okay. And they decided they're going to time travel his plot and character away, starting a completely new slate, rather than slowly and progressively developing his character. And yes, we finally got the Spider-Man we've been asking for about 5 years now, but that's my issue. The other two movies weren't Spider-Man movies. I don't even know what they were, and it doesn't really matter anymore.
If I were a rich man. Yeah, I guess.
Now, everything aside, I would actually like to end my videos on more positive notes.